Hey, can you cover my son's tutoring fees this month? We kind of went over budget this month.
What, me? Why exactly would I need to pay for that?
Why? It's simple. All the money my brother earns is family money, so it's only natural for you to chip in.
That's for him to spend on me, not on your family.
Stop being so picky. We're family, so helping each other is normal. Or what? Do you not care if my son can't keep up with his studies?
I have no reason to take responsibility for your child's matters. Tutoring fees are something you should pay for.
Wow, way too cold. Even Zach said you should help out if needed. And honestly, we're letting you stay in this house, so the least you can do is pitch in.
Letting me stay? That's an odd way to put it. I thought I was paying my share to live here.
Oh, please. Just because you're paying rent doesn't mean you can act all high and mighty. Without Zach, you won't be living here.
That still doesn't mean I'm obligated to cover your child's expenses.
You're so difficult. Ever heard of being considerate? You always make it about yourself. No wonder people don't like you.
That's uncalled for. I've tried to be considerate and avoid adding to your burden.
Considerate? Complaining about late night noise is considerate? You're so uptight.
I only mentioned it because you were talking loudly and leaving the TV on. Most people would find that disruptive.
There you go again with your nagging. I seriously don't know how someone like you ended up in this family.
Family, huh? Then maybe you should rethink things. If you don't see me as one, why even ask me for money?
You're impossible. Just pay the tutoring fees. If my son struggles, it'll be on you.
It's unreasonable to blame me for your child's difficulties. It's on you to resolve such issues.
You're so frustrating. I'm telling Zach you're refusing to help. Get ready for what's coming.
June, sorry to bother you so early. I need to ask you something.
What is it?
Did you change the front lock by any chance? The key I have doesn't work and I can't get in. Why is this happening all of a sudden?
I changed it. The old one felt outdated and I wanted something new. I mean, security is important, right?
Outdated? This house is only 6 years old. I doubt the lock was broken. Wouldn't it have been normal to discuss this first? Anyway, can you open the door and give me a new key?
Oh, you're funny. No way I'm opening it. I changed the lock to keep you out. Feels great, honestly. I switched it while you were out, so now you'll never get in again. No need for a family meeting anymore, huh?
Excuse me? Wait, I don't understand what you're saying. What are you thinking doing something like this?
Oh, come on. Don't act like you didn't see this coming. You're so clueless. I swear people who live off their husbands' paychecks have a different level of audacity. You walk around acting like everything belongs to you. Listen, Zach has a high-paying executive job, right? That's why he could afford to build this mansion so his entire family can live happily together. Not that it concerns you.
Yes, I'm aware that he works hard, though only at work. He leaves everything at home for me to handle.
Exactly. And yet you, the outsider, strut around here like she owns the place. It's weird, not to mention disgusting.
I'm not an outsider. We're married. It's offensive for you to call me that.
If you're not blood related, you're not family. It's infuriating that you don't get that. And even though we live in separate spaces, your constant nagging is unbearable. You don't even try to be considerate. Who do you think you are? Seriously, what kind of shameless woman acts like this?
All I said was that your late night phone calls are too loud and asked you to keep it down. I just wanted us to be considerate of each other to make living here easier. Do you call that nagging?
That's not all. You also complained about me dumping trash on your side. You take out the garbage anyway. You could just take mine while you're at it. Why should I be considerate towards someone who can't even show basic decency? You're just a parasite. Get out already.
Hold on. That's way too unreasonable.
Oh, please. In this house, my family comes first. If you're too dumb to get that, then you're out. And if you want back in, you'd better beg.
Wow. Really? So you're kicking me out just because you don't like me? You couldn't just say that outright and had to change the locks instead?
Talking to you is a waste of time. This way is faster.
Fine. Is this really how you want it?
Of course.
Well then, goodbye forever.
Yay!
Charles, I'm in big trouble right now.
Ma'am, what happened?
Can you come pick me up right away? I need a car sent over immediately.
Understood. Where are you currently?
In front of my house. It's a ridiculous situation, but I need you to come get me now.
Excuse me, ma'am. You're in front of your house. Does that mean you're unable to enter?
Yes, exactly. I'm going back to my parents' house, so please come and get me. I can't stay here any longer.
Understood. Since you'll likely have belongings, I'll bring a larger vehicle to pick you up.
No need. I don't have any luggage. I'll go empty-handed. But please hurry.
Ma'am, forgive my bluntness, but what exactly happened? Being outside without belongings is highly unusual.
June changed the lock and locked me out of the house. There's no reason for such a selfish action. I can't even retrieve my things, so I have no choice but to return to my parents' house. I can't bear this treatment anymore.
That's quite an extreme move. It's hard to fathom such behavior.
Yes, and she's acting so triumphant about it. I'm outside right now, and I can see her smirking at me through the window.
How infuriating. Thinking of your feelings, I can't help but feel a rare surge of anger.
Neither can I. I'm stunned that someone could look down on another person so much.
Understood. I'll come in your personal car. It'll make an impact and send a message to her as well. Letting them get carried away like this isn't good for your mental health. Countermeasures are necessary.
That's very you, Charles. That would be helpful. My plans are completely ruined. I wanted to gather a bit more evidence. Now all my patience has been for nothing. This is the worst.
I say you've been far too patient already.
If I'm going to act, I want it to be thorough. No room for excuses, no wiggle room left. But with the evidence I have now, I'm not so sure.
In that case, ma'am, shall I take a look at it?
You? Really?
I did study law, and it's still my interest after all, so I can assess whether the evidence you've gathered will hold up in court.
You're seriously capable of everything, aren't you?
As your butler, this much is expected. If you have any doubts or concerns, allow me to assist you. Please act to your heart's content, ma'am.
Hey, what was that about? You're seriously unbelievable. Excuse me? What are you talking about?
Don't play dumb. Why is there a limo picking you up?
Well, since I'm heading back to my parents' house, I have my favorite car sent over. It's spacious and I can stretch my legs. Big cars are the best.
Why on earth are you riding in such a car? You're just a freeloader.
Well, my family owns a company and I'm the COO after all.
What? COO?
You know, don't you? Zach and I met through our parents, which means for us to even be considered a match, our social status and standing had to be somewhat equal. The only people who typically match a COO are executives, right?
Seriously? But you were the one who pursued the marriage.
Yes, I initiated it. Out of all the candidates I was introduced to, I chose Zach. You seem to misunderstand. He wasn't the one who picked me. I was the one who chose him from the pool of suitors. And yet here I am being called a freeloader. How ridiculous.
No way. That's not what I heard. He told me he picked you.
That's just his perception. Maybe because I asked him, he assumed it was his decision. Oh, and since this pertains to our household, I never brought it up. But I'm the one who financed the mansion and the household expenses.
What? Are you insane? You've gone too far with these outrageous lies.
Believe it or not, it doesn't matter to me. I was planning to gather more evidence before leaving, but I've realized I already have enough to stand my ground.
What are you talking about?
You'll find out soon enough, including who the real freeloader is.
Hey, I need to talk to you. I heard everything from Zach. Don't try to deny it.
Heard what?
Don't play dumb. The account used to pay the mortgage was under your management, right? Why did you go and close it without saying anything?
It wasn't just under my management. I was the one paying the mortgage. But since I got kicked out, there's no reason for me to pay for a house I'm not living in. So I closed the account. The mortgage is your responsibility now.
You're supposed to pay. That's only fair.
Why?
I mean, you're both working and Zach covered all the living expenses, so paying the mortgage is the least you can do.
Excuse me? I was paying 80% of our living expenses.
Still spouting lies, huh?
Well, if you don't want to believe it, that's fine. You'll realize the truth eventually, whether you like it or not. Anyway, the mortgage is on you now. It's $5,000 a month.
5,000? What? That's ridiculous. You're ripping us off.
If you think it's too much, feel free to move out. The payment amount is clearly stated in the paperwork. And just so you know, you don't have a choice. The house is in my name.
Then you, the owner, should pay it. That's how it works.
I don't think someone who kicked out the person paying the mortgage has the right to talk about how things should work.
Hey, how much more are you going to humiliate me? What kind of person are you? You're honestly the worst.
Excuse me?
Sending over divorce papers out of nowhere? Are you serious? Do you want to turn Zach into a divorcee?
Oh my, I didn't expect you to be against it. I thought you'd be all for it.
Of course I'm happy if you disappear, but you're demanding alimony from him, aren't you? That makes no sense.
After everything I endured with his emotional abuse, it's only fair.
Emotional abuse? He'd never do something like that.
Abusers never realize they're the problem. You only see the parts of him you love, but let me tell you, he's a massive jerk. Terrible with money and an absolute control freak. He unilaterally decided on the mansion, then dumped all the paperwork and arrangements on me.
As his wife, that's your job, isn't it?
Maybe, yeah. There were parts only I could handle. Even so, when I refused to live with you guys, the whole family ganged up on me. Did you really think you wouldn't have to pay for that?
That's because you disrespected us and ran your mouth. You had it coming.
I made it clear before the marriage that I didn't want to live together, didn't I? Y'all agreed to it back then. But the moment I said no, I was labeled a selfish wife, slapped, and kicked out into the cold in the dead of winter. I haven't forgotten it.
If you hated it so much, you should have left right away.
Oh, I planned to, but if I had just left, you all would have gone on with your lives like nothing happened. That thought made my blood boil. So no matter how much you called me a parasite and insulted me, I decided I'd drag all of you down to hell. It took patience and preparation to make it happen.
What are you talking about?
I had to document all the abuse you guys put me through. Talk is cheap, and I'm up against 3 insane people here. So I took photos of my injuries, kept medical reports, and left everything with my parents for safekeeping. I was worried I wouldn't have enough evidence, but the experts confirmed I had plenty. So now I'm taking action. Oh, and by the way, the fact that you changed the lock and locked me out, that's also documented. I included everything in my alimony claim. Zach makes good money as an executive, doesn't he? Oh, I'm sure I'll get a hefty sum.
You've got to be kidding me. No way are you taking the money he works for.
Oh, and I'll be filing a claim against you too. What did you think?
Against me too?
Of course. If you've been paying attention, you'd know why. I've got photos of the clothes you tore and recordings of your abusive words. You'll be paying your share, so be prepared.
No way, I won't allow it.
Bark all you want while you still can. Soon enough, you'll understand where you really stand.
What? Hey, what is this? I won't let you get away with doing something like this.
What are you talking about?
The account for living expenses is empty. What the hell did you do? You stole from it, didn't you?
I didn't steal anything. The account is empty because all this month's bills have been paid, so there's nothing left. If you check the statement, you'll see it right away.
That can't be true. Zach said he put enough money in there.
Oh, he didn't. Most of his money went to a strip club and drinking.
What?
I told you, didn't I? I was the one financing the household. You all probably thought I was just a part-timer and didn't earn much, didn't you? But in reality, he wasn't contributing to the household at all. He was just wasting it all on his nonsense. Yet he thought putting half his paycheck into the account was enough to cover everything. He didn't know how much things cost because he left everything, household management and finances, to me. I guess that's why he could think of me as a parasite.
Then why on earth were you paying for our living expenses all this time? Ugh, what a waste of money.
That was to make your lives harder later.
What?
Once you've experienced a certain standard of living, it's hard to lower it. You were living pretty luxuriously, weren't you? Monthly trips to fancy Michelin star restaurants and dining out all the time. When that kind of lifestyle suddenly becomes unsustainable, what do you think happens? You'll live with constant stress for the rest of your lives. You're all too proud to handle a life without money, aren't you? You even joked you'd get sick eating discounted items. Oh, and by the way, while
I won't cover your living expenses anymore. I will be sending you an invoice for all your extravagant spending. Get ready for that.
Why?
Originally, I wasn't planning to go that far since it's just basic expenses, but since I kept detailed household records, I was advised that I could use them as evidence to include those costs in my claim.
No way. What about next month's credit card bill? We can't pay it like this. If you're the one who put us in this situation, take responsibility and see it through to the end.
No, you didn't want to take care of a parasite, so you kicked me out, right? Well, I don't want to take care of you either. That's why I left. So don't expect me to feel bad when you're getting the same treatment you gave me.
Ma'am, I must apologize, but we have a problem. I'm sorry, I've been trying my best though. It seems someone managed to find the location of your new residence. Earlier today, those people showed up and caused quite the scene.
Oh my god, are you okay?
They were incredibly rude, demanding to see you. Of course, I turned them away, but on their way out, they smashed a window.
What kind of childish harassment is that? We're reporting this to the police.
I've already done it, but they managed to flee. The police, unfortunately, didn't take it too seriously since it's a first offense. They've said they'll take action if there's a next time.
Unbelievable. They still haven't learned the lesson. They barely have enough for living expenses, they've got credit card bills, a mortgage, and on top of that, I'm demanding compensation. How do they still have the energy to fight back?
They probably genuinely believe they've done nothing wrong.
It's incomprehensible. I've been doing everything by the book. The compensation amount isn't high enough to seize their assets. Why can't it be higher?
In your case, assault is around $1,000. For your divorce caused by emotional abuse, you could only get $40,000. Even with additional claims, the total is $50,000. June is living with her family and has some savings and assets like a car or inheritance from her father. It's not an amount she can't pay.
Still, $50,000 is a lot of money.
It is, and it's likely why they're resorting to these petty acts of retaliation. Smashing a window was probably a warning. Those people are unhinged, but they're not stupid. They likely won't escalate to harassment that would make the police take significant action. Dealing with people this deranged makes it feel ridiculous to engage seriously. Their goal is probably to push you into giving up. They want to wear you down, ma'am.
I'm not giving up. If I back down now, they win. I can't let them get away with this.
In that case, may I ask you to leave this matter to me?
To you? What do you mean?
I have an idea, but it'll require your approval before moving forward.
What kind of idea? If it'll drag them into hell, I'm all in.
Well, you see.
Charles, can you update me on the situation? I'm feeling quite uneasy. Is everything under control over there?
Yes, they've taken the bait beautifully. Today they transformed your house's exterior wall into a rather artistic masterpiece.
Wait, are you saying they vandalized it? With paint or something?
Precisely. The once trendy minimalist concrete wall is now quite colorful. Oh, and they've also taken it upon themselves to fertilize the lawn, albeit rather liberally.
Vandalism and littering? What are they, thugs? I have to admit, with harassment like that, most people would want to run.
Indeed. They're completely unaware that you've already taken refuge at your family home. Yet they persist, day after day, with unwavering determination. In my 62 years, I've never encountered such relentless behavior. They're less like humans and more akin to creatures, or perhaps monsters.
Monsters or creatures? Either way is absurd. Why haven't they stopped this nonsense yet? They don't even flee when you're watching, do they?
Oh, that's because I've been playing a little part to encourage their antics.
What do you mean?
Whenever I appear before them, I portray myself as a frail old man. I informed them that the property belongs to me, but when I attempted to warn them, they reacted with such fury that I retreated in fear.
A frail old man? Charles, aren't you a black belt?
Yes, ma'am, I am. However, if they knew I was capable of defending myself, they might think twice about their actions. By presenting myself as a weak, timid homeowner, unable to stand up to them or call the police, I gave them the confidence to escalate their behavior.
Ah, I see. So by acting like an easy target, they overplayed their hand. And the more they believe they're safe from consequences, the bolder they become.
Precisely, ma'am. Your quick understanding makes things much easier. They've been careful not to draw the attention of the neighbors, which shows they're wary of the police, but their arrogance has left them sloppy. The time has come to bring this to an end, and ensure they face the consequences of their actions.
Oh, absolutely. Those fools didn't learn their lesson last time, so this time, we'll make sure they regret ever crossing me.
Hey, what the hell is this? Do you think you can just do this and get away with it? If so, you're in for a rude awakening. Suddenly acting tough after hiding away all this time. Now filing a police report?
The meaning is simple. It's clear that just taking your money wasn't enough to teach you a lesson. A more effective approach was necessary, so I had no choice but to file a report. I needed to ensure you faced consequences, so you'd never again dare to take me lightly.
Come on. Lying to involve the police? Do you even realize how shameless that makes you look?
Lying? Please, enlighten me. Which part exactly is a lie? You trashed my second home, didn't you? Graffiti on the walls and even breaking in to wreak havoc. Vandalism, trespassing, acts of violence. With this many charges, filing a report was absolutely necessary. The emotional abuse and domestic violence charges weren't taken seriously enough, so I waited for you to go further and hand me the evidence I needed, and you did. How you ever thought you'd get away with this is beyond me. It's downright disgusting how malicious you are. This time, the sheer volume of evidence and the severity of your actions mean the police won't be looking the other way.
Wait a second. That house belongs to that grandpa, doesn't it? It's not even yours.
It doesn't matter who owns the house. Your harassment and illegal actions can't be justified under any circumstances. Have some common sense. Domestic abuse alone wasn't enough to guarantee an arrest, but now with multiple charges stacked against you, there's a strong case. You've backed yourselves into a corner with no way out.
Yeah, right. And even if we are, we'll just pay bail and walk free. We've still got Dad's life insurance money. As long as we have that, we'll be fine.
Oh, really? You refuse to pay me alimony, yet you've got no problem spending money on yourselves. Typical of you.
And that's right. Too bad for you. You've held back, thinking you finally cornered us, but it doesn't mean much. Sure, paying the money hurts, but worst case scenario, as long as we've got money, we'll survive. That's the reality.
I see. But let's see how long that bravado lasts. I'm looking forward to watching it crumble.
And that's why we've kept messing with you, you know. You've got no clue how much we've got left, do you? Thanks to you, it's gone down quite a bit, but there's still plenty left. We'll come out on top.
Oh, so you still have some left. Good to know.
Huh?
It's reassuring to hear there's still more to take. I'll make sure you're left with absolutely nothing. Don't you get it? I told you earlier, didn't I? I've been collecting evidence. For all the harassment and damages to the house, you're going to pay.
Like hell we will.
But just now, didn't you say you still have money? The house is brand new and the repair costs are sky high. I've documented every expense. You'll pay every last cent.
No way! I'll never pay you a dime.
Funny how just a moment ago you said you'd pay if you had to. I've got that little declaration saved, so don't think you can claim you're broke. I've held back and held back to get my revenge on you. Don't think for a second I'm giving up so easily.
Hey! I've told you this over and over. What the hell is going on? How could you just do this without consulting anyone?
Excuse me?
Why is the mansion being sold? What's this about a forced eviction? That mansion is part of the marital property division, isn't it? What are you doing?
That was originally my property. I bought it before the marriage and later remodeled it. Since the purchase happened before we got married, it counts as my personal asset. I paid for the remodel using a loan, which I've been paying off myself. Honestly, I thought it might fall under the marital property division, but when I consulted someone, they told me that since the land and house were purchased before marriage are in my name, and I paid the loan myself, they're not part of the division. but I couldn't sell it with a loan still outstanding, so I paid it off in full and put it up for sale.
So we couldn't sell it ourselves?
It's not your house, is it? Did you actually include it in the assets you thought you were dividing? Well, too bad. The mansion already has a new owner, so hurry up and get out.
Wait, we don't have the money to buy a new house. How are we supposed to live without a home? We're already broke because of your demands.
Oh, I don't know. Why don't you figure it out? You've been freeloading all this time. It's about time you learned to live on your own. Charles, I've got some good news. Everything went exactly as you predicted. I followed your advice about selling the mansion and letting them dig their own graves to inflate the compensation, and it worked perfectly. Those three are now drowning in debt. On top of that, they couldn't even pay their bail, so their arrests are final. They've literally lost everything.
That is good to hear. However, I must admit, when I think of the time and effort you spent on this revenge, I can't help but wish you could have resolved it without losing anything yourself. As someone who witnessed your suffering up close, I still regret not finding a way to resolve this differently.
Ah, the matter of the other property. The repair costs were fully covered by the compensation I extracted from them, so it didn't come out of my pocket. It's true that I lost time, but if I tried to settle things amicably, they wouldn't have felt any consequences. It was only by going this far that I made them pay a price so steep they'll never recover. Thinking about that, I have no regrets. But if I'd been alone, I might have given up halfway. I was able to keep fighting because you were there to support me.
I will always stand by you, ma'am. This experience has only strengthened my resolve. So please, never again choose a path where you must sacrifice yourself. Your smile is what brings light to those around you. For me, there is nothing more painful than watching you suffer. Even your father was deeply worried about you.
Yes, I'm sorry, Charles. I think I was being too stubborn. But now I can finally move on. From now on, I'll dedicate my time solely to my happiness. I'll never again sacrifice myself, even for the people I care about.
I've watched over you for many years, and I'm relieved to see you finally embarking on a truly free life. May your future be filled with hope and joy. I will do everything I can to support you.
Thank you, Charles. I've been able to find myself again because of you. Your support is truly irreplaceable. Knowing you'll always be by my side gives me the greatest peace of mind. I'll live a life that makes you proud of me. And I'll never let anyone as unreasonable as them control my life again. From now on, I'll live my life entirely for myself. Several months have passed since then. June and her family have been socially and financially ruined due to their harassment and numerous legal violations against me. Compensation payments, house repair costs, and the criminal records from the charges filed against them. All of these combined completely overturned their lives. My ex-husband lost his position as an executive and faced a significant pay cut. That alone must have been hard enough, but there were still more trials waiting for them. The damages I claimed cannot be wiped away by bankruptcy, leaving June and her family with an enormous debt hanging over their heads. As a result, their once affluent lifestyle has completely collapsed. I've heard that June started working part-time at a local supermarket. However, due to her criminal record, she couldn't endure the cold stares from those around her, and ended up changing jobs multiple times. They're now living in such poverty that they can barely afford daily meals, let alone tutoring fees for their child. Eventually, constant arguments broke out between June and the rest of the family. She was ultimately ousted by them. Far from continuing to live together, she was saddled with the burden of the family's debt and was kicked out. I hear she now lives in a small apartment, though even that rent is overdue. As for me, I've moved into my newly renovated property and started a fresh chapter in my life. For now, I just want to prioritize my own happiness. Above all, I want to express my gratitude to Charles, who stood by me through it all. My current goal is to live a life that gives him peace of mind, knowing he can watch over me without worry.
Thank you for watching. Please rate the video and subscribe to our channel. See you in the next video.